On average, per 500 at-bats, about a full season, they're hitting 29.8 home runs.
Well, this is a bold move by the Dodgers, and what it shows me is the Dodgers were tired of coming up short in October.
This makes them scary. This makes them even more formidable than they already are.
Here's a possible lineup. This is just one possible lineup for them. Look at this. Betts, Muncy, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, only the MVP.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hum Baby Baseball channel. This is Eric, and it's getting increasingly more difficult to pick against this Dodgers team. Before the 2020 season started, I said that this was pretty much an all-star team with that Mookie Betts trade, but I still have not picked this team to win a World Series, mainly because they haven't done it yet during all these years. And Dave Roberts constantly makes crazy decisions in the playoffs that keeps them from going all the way, in my opinion. But this year, this team is just, there's no leaks. The lineup is ridiculous. The rotation is good. The bullpen is off the charts. This team is absolutely fantastic. Then they measured up to the hype in 2020. They won 43 games out of 60. They led the big leagues in home runs and other offensive categories, and even their pitching, which was, I wouldn't say a question mark, but it was the one thing that, well, maybe some teams can get to their pitching. No, they led the league in earned run average, and easily. But I didn't pick them because I always felt the team that wins the World Series is usually the team that gels, a team that's hot, a team that gets hot in the playoffs, just like last year with the Nationals. Nobody was picking the Nationals preseason or early in the year, especially when they were playing terrible. But then they started to come together, and they were led by the Baby Shark song, and they got hot. They were doing the dances in the dugout, and they had the skits, and it was just crazy, and they go all the way. This year, I picked the Reds. They're already out. They didn't score a single run against the Braves, and I also thought the White Sox were a team to watch for. They're out. This series is so huge right here. The Padres. When I started to look at this matchup right here, originally I did pick this matchup to happen, and I picked the Padres to move on. There are some problems, though, with the starting pitching, which I'm about to get to. But the Padres, as amazing as it was, barely got by the Cardinals. They survived a big scare there. They lost game one, and in game two they were down 4-0. It looked like it was over, but then they came back. The bullpen was unbelievable, just throwing zeros and zeros and zeros and one pitcher after another. It was incredible. And the way they came from behind and won, and then came back in game three and took care of business. Very impressive. They have a ton of talent, and we're going to find that out in just a minute when I check out these two teams. The Padres are very impressive. This is going to be an extremely exciting series with Machado, the former Dodger, with the MVP candidate Tatis Jr. They got veterans like Hosmer and Will Myers. There's no shortage of power threats with the Padres, but with the Dodgers, it's ridiculous. I'm going to talk about why the Padres actually kind of measure up right here, and that this might be the last chance. If a team is going to take out the Dodgers, I think it has to happen right now. I'm starting to think that this is the team, that they've put together the team to win it all. The Braves and Dodgers would be an interesting matchup, but I think I would have to lean Dodgers there. Anybody could be the Dodgers. It could happen. Of course, this is baseball, but I'm just saying I don't see any team that I would honestly have to pick to take out the Dodgers in a best-of-7 series this season right now with what I've seen so far, even with Dave Roberts as the manager. This might be it. So let's go into this NLDS right here. We're going to start with the starting pitching, and that was what I was talking about. That was the problem, and that's part of the reason I'm less confident in this Padres team, even though they look great. The latest report is that they do not expect Dinelson Lamet to be ready for this series. This is going to hurt. He has been one of their most reliable and dominant starters all season. Struck out 93 batters in 63 innings, ERA of 2.09. And if we're to believe the latest tweet from Bob Nightingale, who is not always reliable, they do expect to have Mike Clevinger. That's huge. Clevinger, he's basically their ace. This guy shut out the Giants through 7 innings September 13th, walked one, allowed just 2 hits. And we already know about Clevinger. I don't need to go into his biography. We know from the Cleveland Indians what Clevinger can do. He is amazing. They're going to need him. I do not see them winning this series without Clevinger and Lamet. Right now, I'll tell you, if both those pitchers are out, I know they have a great bullpen. That's going to be too much to win 3 games out of 5, pretty much with your bullpen. Now, they do have other options. Zach Davies, who got through 2 innings against the Cardinals in the wild card series, giving up 5 hits, 4 runs, and a bomb. He was a great option during the season. I can't deny that. It doesn't mean he's going to get beat up again, but he had a 7-4 record, 2.74 ERA in the regular season. Then you got Chris Paddock, who also got pounded by the Cardinals, and he allowed 14 home runs in 59 innings in the regular season. 14 homers in 59 innings. Does that sound like a good matchup against the Dodgers? Garrett Richardson could start, Adrian Morejon could start, but they're not the type of pitchers that are going to go 7+ innings or anything like that. They're probably going to be 4 or 5 innings at most. It's still going to be a bullpen game. The Dodgers, on the other hand, don't have those kind of issues. Walker Buehler has had some blister problems. In fact, he only made a couple starts. He's been on the injured list a couple times, so that could be an issue, but they say he's ready to go. He did pitch pretty well in the wild card series. He is going to pitch in game 1, and then you got Kershaw in game 2. Kershaw had a fantastic season. That continued in the playoffs. He pitched 8 shutout innings against the Brewers, striking out 13. And you also got Julio Urias, Dustin May, other options for the Dodgers. Very solid, all things considered. Especially with the injuries for the Padres, you got to give the Dodgers a definite edge with the rotation here, and it's a pretty significant edge. As for the lineup, let's check out the latest Dodgers lineup on October 1st, and it's not that much different than the lineup we expected to see in 2020. They've avoided major injuries and have performed, with the possible exception of prospect Gavin Lux. He struggled, hit 175, but nevertheless, this lineup is relentless, led by Mookie Betts and Corey Seager at the top. Both had great seasons. Corey Seager really stepped it up this year. The Padres, they also start the lineup nicely with Trent Grisham, and then, of course, you got Tatis Jr. and Machado in the 2 and 3 hole. Both teams have a ton of power in the middle of those lineups, with the Dodgers, Turner, Muncy, Smith, Bellinger, who combined to hit 36 bombs in the regular season. And then the Padres, who have Hosmer, Pham, Moreland, and Myers, they combined for 37. And you also got Cronenworth, who might be Rookie of the Year. He had a great year, hitting .285 with 4 home runs and a .354 on-base percentage. So when you really dissect the lineups, the Padres pretty much, they measure up very nicely. They both have multiple guys who could be MVPs in any particular year. They have a ton of powerful veterans. They have a ton of very talented youngsters. Both lineups are very, very strong. The Dodgers would have to have an edge just because they hit 118 home runs in the regular season compared to the Padres, who hit 95. Both teams hit around the same as far as batting average goes, 256 for the Dodgers, 257 for the Padres. Padres had a slightly lower on-base percentage, but all in all, very comparable. I was quite surprised when I really looked into this, how comparable they are, but I would give the Dodgers a slight edge offensively. I think that's definite, but the Padres, they're very good as well. So kind of like some of the other series we talked about, it could come down to the bullpen. And the Padres bullpen has been ridiculously effective and impressive. This is a bullpen that pretty much beat the Brewers by themselves. I mean, they just took out the Brewers. Obviously, the offense had to score a few runs, but the bullpen was ridiculous. However, beating the Brewers in a best of 3 is a lot different than beating this ridiculous Dodgers team in a best of 5. And with the Padres starters going down, man, that bullpen is going to be busy. And we're going to have to see the lefties step it up, like Drew Pomeranz is going to have to get out. Guys like Bellinger, Muncy, Corey Seager is going to have to get all those out. And he's going to have to deal with righties sprinkled throughout the lineup. And remember the 3-batter minimum. So if you got lefty, righty, you're bringing a lefty, he's going to have to face a righty. I'm not saying that lefty, righty, I don't put as much stock into that as some of the GMs and managers, but there's something to be said about that. If you're bringing in a lefty, he's going to have to deal with a powerful right-handed batter because he's got to face 3 batters unless, the inning ends or whatever. So, Pomeranz is going to have a big job. Adrian Morejon is another guy, but he served up 7 bombs in 19 innings this season. Matt Strom is a reliable option, and of course they have their closer Trevor Rosenthal, who I don't know what happened. This dude found whatever he used to have, and he is back in his prime apparently because he is completely dealing with 38 strikeouts in 23 innings and a 1.9 ERA in 2020. But the Dodgers bullpen is also very loaded with arms like Joe Kelly, Pedro Baez, Brusdar Graterol, who they picked up from the Twins in that crazy deal with Betts. They got lefty Blake Trinan and, of course, Kenley Jansen. He was really good to start the year, started to slow down a little bit. The bullpen started to struggle in September, but the arms are there. It's just a question of how they're going to use them. If Dave Roberts uses his bullpen well, I think that it's going to be a strength. If he doesn't, it could be a weakness. I mean, that's where it is. Last season, he didn't trust the bullpen. He went with Kershaw out of the pen in an elimination game. Kershaw gets out of the inning. He brings him back in anyway for the next inning, and Kershaw gives up 2 bombs, and they lose to the Nationals. He's got to have faith in that bullpen. Use them properly, and I think the Dodgers have a strong bullpen. Both teams have an excellent bullpen. But given what we've seen from San Diego lately, I got to give them the slight edge with the bullpen as we enter this series. However, this Dodgers lineup can make any bullpen look atrocious, can make any pitcher look bad, especially if they get overused. And that's what I'm concerned about. I think that this bullpen might eventually implode. Not because of lack of talent, just because of lack of help from starters. The bullpen's not made to go 9 innings every night or 8 or 7 or anything like that. So someone's going to have to step it up from that Padres rotation, whether it's Zach Davies or whether it's Chris Paddock. Something's going to have to give. Or, the Padres even have some prospects that have never pitched in the major leagues who might get a shot. We'll see what happens. It's nuts. All in all, this is going to be crazy. And I think this Padres team measures up. I really do. Are very close. I think they're very close. But given the injuries that happened, I have kind of shifted now with Lamet out. I've thought about this long and hard, and I really think, if I'm being honest, as we enter into this series, and I have to give the Dodgers a slight edge here and the prediction that the Dodgers will end up winning this in 5. However, having said that, I will say if there's one team that's going to beat the Dodgers, if there's one team that can stop them, it is the Padres. I think the Dodgers are beatable, and I think the Padres are the team to do it. But I'm picking the Dodgers, if I'm being completely honest here, because of the injury. If they had Lamet and Clevinger both ready, both healthy, and I was confident that both were going to bring their best,
I would take the Padres.
Having to use that bullpen that much after what they did with the Brewers, I just don't know if they can get through the Dodgers. I think I have to give the Dodgers the edge here. I'm going to pick the Dodgers in this series. Everything has changed, obviously, with each series. And if the Dodgers get through this series, obviously things could change again. We don't know, with injuries, with performance of the other teams in the American League and the Braves and the Marlins. We'll see. But if the Dodgers win this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick against them for the rest of this postseason. So this could be the year for the Dodgers. I'm admitting it now as a Giants fan. I'm starting to think this is the year for the Dodgers. But I'm going to be rooting hard for the Padres. Giants fans, please don't unsubscribe. I'm rooting hard for the Padres. I do not want to see the Dodgers take it home. But I do have a lot of Dodgers fans that are friends of the channel and subscribers of the channel. And I appreciate all your support. And hey, I'll be happy for you guys, if the Dodgers do win it. I'll be happy for you guys because you're my friends. But definitely as a Giants fan, you guys know I can't root for the Dodgers. It's like you guys can't root for the Giants. This is a rivalry. You know how it goes. But that being said, it's going to be a ton of fun. I cannot wait for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for jumping in here today and watching this video. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It would really mean the world. We're trying to get to 10K by opening day of 2021. Have a great one, guys. We'll talk to you later. See ya! When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye.